Okay, we're studying the laws of Lashon Harah. We are on chapter 6, halacha number 5, Vav Hey, and we're discussing the prohibition of listening to Lashon Harah, because in addition to the prohibition of speaking Lashon Harah, there's also a prohibition to listen to Lashon Harah. I would like to welcome Steve Tserlin for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have Steve. If you have any questions, please feel free to, not just to Steve, but to anybody, if you have any questions, please feel free to post a comment on Facebook or email me if you're watching this on YouTube. Now we're going to return to our topic, Hanal. The Torah prohibition of listening to Lashon Harah is to actively go and to hear it. Now, what happens? That's for sure if you go you see someone speaking Lashon Harah, you could just tell, and you go over to hear it. For sure, that's a Torah prohibition. Now, what happens if you're in a group and you're talking about whatever? You're sitting at a wedding, schmoozing about sports or business or the coronavirus or whatever it is, and someone starts speaking Lashon Harah. And you realize that if you tell them to stop speaking Lashon Harah, it's not going to help. So actually he writes that if that happens and you just know the people involved, and if you say, hey, stop speaking Lashon Harah, you're not allowed to do that, they're just going to make fun of you and speak it more and mock the Torah, then you shouldn't do it at all. Is that similar to the prohibition of you're not allowed to go to somebody's enemy and praise his enemy in front of him, because by praising his enemy, he's going to start denigrating his enemy, doing it even more. So he compares it to this case, that if you see a group of people speaking Lashon Harah, and you know that if you say something, they're not going to listen to you, and they're just going to mock it and everything, then you shouldn't say anything at all. But now, so what do? So you're at this table, you're talking about innocuous topics, and all of a sudden they start speaking Lashon Harah, and you realize that you are not able to give them tochacha. If you tell them to stop, they're not going to listen. So if you can leave where you are, or you can stick your fingers in your ears to not listen, that's a great mitzvah. You should get up and leave. That's the best thing to do. Get up and leave. If someone's speaking Lashon Harah, get up and leave. Or stick your fingers in your ears. Shamru Chazal, the rabbis say, like the rabbi saying ksubas, avalim shelo. Let's say it's impossible to leave. You're sitting there, there's no way to leave, maybe you're on a bus or on a plane, and you also don't want to put your fingers in your ears. It's just very difficult for you, right? It's a very embarrassing thing to sit there like this the whole time. And they're going to make fun of you, and you don't want to do that. You should strengthen yourself and make a very strong effort at this difficult time, and to fight a war of God with your Yetzer Hara. So the Chavetz Chaim is telling us that if you're in a situation where the people are speaking Lashon Harah, and you didn't go there, you just sat there innocuously, talking about whatever, and then they speak Lashon Harah, and you can't leave, and it's too difficult for you to stick your fingers in your ears, then there's something you can do, but it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of great effort. So what can you do? What can you do to not violate the prohibition of Lashon Harah when you can hear people speaking to you? So he says you need to do 3 things. 1, Yachlit benavsho beheskim gamor shelo lahamin ladivrei genushim mesaper nachavreim. You have to accept in yourself with total certainty and not believe anything that he's telling you. Whatever negative speech is being said, you have to not believe it. That's why he says it's very difficult, right? You hear something, you want to believe it, but you don't believe it. You have to tell yourself that it's not true. It's one thing. Beis, number 2. Lo yeh nichale b'shmiya sipureihem ha'asurim ha'ele. You can't. It has to be that what's being told is not pleasing to you. Right? You don't want to hear. You can't be happy that you're sitting there and like, oh, I'm glad, I'm glad I'm hearing Lashon Hara, right? I didn't do anything about it. It's not my fault because I didn't go and sit here, but they're speaking Lashon Hara and I'm happy about it. You can't do that. You have to be displeased with the Lashon Hara. Number 3, Gam Yamid al Atzmo Shlo Laharas Lifnei Hamasaprim Shum Tunua Shiyira Mimena Shehu Maskim L'Divrayim Ach Yeshiv Ke'evin Doimim V'im Yochol Laharas Lifneiim Panim Nizamim She'aviu Mimenu Shehu Einu Maskim L'Divrayim Havelim Bavadai Hu Tov Yoser. He says number 3 is you can't make any indication with your facial expressions that you agree with what they're saying. So let's say they're speaking Lashon Hara, you can't be like, You can't do this. Can't smile. You can't nod. You can't look like you approve of what they're doing at all. And he says not only that, you should have a look of displeasure on your face because it will clearly demonstrate to them that what they're doing is incorrect. So again, the 3 things. So let's just go over it. Again, one second. So he actually discusses on the bottom here in the Ber Mayim Chaim that it's not so simple if you're sitting there and hearing Lashon Hara, and when you didn't come and sit down, that you can rely on these 3 things. He says really the best thing is to get up and leave, right? If you can leave, that's really the best thing. These 3 things that if you're sitting there, it's really only to be relied upon when you don't have another choice. He explains the lumdus that it becomes meaning the reason behind it is because it becomes a rabbinical prohibition and there's a way to get out of it, but really the best way is to leave. So just to summarize, if you are in a place, and again, start from here, sorry. It's for sure, we're not talking about a case when you go to hear them speak Lashon Hara, right? You happen to be in a place and they're talking about some innocuous topic, and then they start speaking Lashon Hara. So what's the best thing to do? So if they're going to be people that will listen to you, then you should tell them, that might be Lashon Hara, I don't think you should say it. If there are people that are just going to make fun of you more, then you're forbidden. You're not allowed to say that because it'll just make them speak Lashon Hara more. So then what should you do? You should either get up and leave, or you should put your fingers in your ears. Now, if let's say you can't get up and leave, you're on a plane. So really, again, the best thing is to put your fingers in your ears. That's really what you should do. But the Chavetz Chaim acknowledges that's a very difficult thing because people are going to make fun of you. So what you could do is it's very difficult, but you can do these 3 things. If with 3 conditions, you will not violate the prohibition of listening to Lashon Hara. 1 is to not believe anything that they say. You can't believe it, that it's true. Number 2 is that it can't be pleasing to you that you're hearing the Lashon Hara. You can't enjoy it. And number 3 is you can't make any facial expressions that show that you seem to approve of what they're saying, but rather you should make, if possible, a negative facial expression. Someone asked here, what about books and movies written denigrating a section of the Jewish people? Yeah, if it's a section of Jewish people that follow the Torah, then definitely would be Lashon Hara. Okay, so that we'll finish with the class today, and it's very interesting for those who have studied this Talmudic topic. The Ber Mayim Chaim here in Yud Aleph to Yud Gimel, this Yud Dalet, discusses a lot of the topics, specifically why you don't violate the prohibition of listening to Lashon Hara when you have those 3 conditions. But this topic is going to continue a little bit, and this is a very common thing, right? You'll be at a wedding or somewhere, it doesn't have to be a wedding, anywhere, and someone starts speaking Lashon Hara, and what do you do? So again, what you do is you get up and leave. If you can't, stick your fingers in your ears. If you can't do that, then you have those 3 conditions. You don't believe it, it's not good to you, it's not pleasing to you, and you don't have any facial expressions which indicate you're enjoying what's going on. Thank you to everybody for coming.